Jack stopped scrubbing a pan. I don't know. It's the opportunity of a lifetime, but it means leaving. This. You have to go, Jack, Janet said, her voice firm, despite the ache in her chest. You're a brilliant chef. You shouldn't be making burger specials at the Beagle forever. You were meant for better things. Is there anything better than this? Jack asked, stepping closer. Your future is better, Janet replied, though she couldn't meet his eyes. Chapter 10. The Ghost of Christmas Past. While Jack wrestled with his decision, a new shadow appeared on the horizon. Her name was Vanessa. She arrived at the apartment door on a rainy Thursday morning, her trench coat dripping and her eyes filled with a familiar, dangerous sparkle. Jack Tripper, she purred, her voice like velvet. I heard a rumor you were dead. I'm glad to see the reports were greatly exaggerated. Jack froze. Vanessa, what are you doing here? I was in the neighborhood, and I missed my favorite sous chef. Vanessa was Jack's first love, the one who had broken his heart in culinary school years ago and had disappeared to Paris without a word. She was sophisticated, talented, and possessed a worldliness that made Janet feel suddenly very small and very plain. Vanessa is staying with us for a few days, Jack announced that evening, looking caught between nostalgia and sheer panic. The dynamic of the apartment shifted instantly. Vanessa took up space like a queen. She criticized Janet's floral arrangements as pedestrian and mocked Cindy's secretarial work. But mostly, she focused on Jack. Napa? Vanessa laughed over dinner, her hand resting casually on Jack's arm. Darling, why go to Napa when I have an opening for a head chef at my new bistro in Manhattan? Come with me. We can take the city by storm. Just like we planned. Janet watched them, a slow-burning jealousy turning into a cold realization. Vanessa represented a world. Jack belonged to a world of high stakes, high fashion, and culinary glory. What did a florist and a secretary have to offer compared to that? Chapter 11. The Midnight Choice. The night before, Jack had to give his answer to the academy, and to Vanessa the apartment was silent. Jack sat in the dark living room, the weight of the world on his shoulders. He thought of Paris, of Manhattan, of the prestige Vanessa offered. He thought of the Napa Valley and the chance to finally become the chef he dreamed of being. Then he thought of the Three's Company sign. He thought of Cindy's clumsiness and Janet's quiet strength. He thought of the way the light hit the stucco building at sunset. A soft footfall came from the hallway. It was Janet. You're still up, she said, sitting on the edge of the sofa. I can't sleep. My head is spinning. Vanessa right. You know, Janet said softly. She can give you everything I can't. Success, prestige, a life that matches your talent. Jack looked at her, his eyes shining in the moonlight. She can give me all those things, but she can't give me the one thing I need to actually enjoy them. What's that? You, Jack whispered. He reached out, and this time Janet didn't pull away. He kissed her a long, slow kiss that tasted of salt and longing and 1,000 unspoken words. It was the kiss they had both been avoiding since the first day they moved in. I'm not going to Manhattan with Vanessa, Jack said, his forehead resting against hers. And I'm not going to Napa. Yet. What? I called the academy. They have a satellite program. 3 days a week in Los Angeles. I can commute. It'll take longer to finish, but I don't care. But your career? My career can wait. My life is here, with you, and Cindy, and even Larry. God help me. Chapter 12. The New Rendezvous. Vanessa left the next morning, her Jaguar screeching out of the parking lot in a fit of pique. She didn't understand why a man would choose a stucco apartment and 2 ordinary girls over the lights of Manhattan, but Jack understood. As the sun rose over the Pacific, the 3 roommates stood on their balcony. Jack had an arm around Janet, and Cindy was leaning against the railing, finally looking happy again. So, Cindy said, beaming, no more funerals, no more sharks, and no more French ex-girlfriends? No more, Jack promised. Just us. And the commute, Janet reminded him, leaning into his side. The commute is nothing, Jack said, as long as I know this door is waiting for me at the end of the day. The wind whispered through the palm fronds, carried the scent of jasmine and the sound of the ocean. It was a new day in Santa Monica, and apartment 201 was no longer just a place to live. It was a rendezvous of hearts that had finally found their way home. The kisses were hers, the laughter was hers, and the dreams were his. But for the first time, the dreams weren't about what he could become, they were about what they already were. Three's company, and for Jack Tripper, that was exactly enough. Chapter 13. The Echo of a Kiss. The morning after the kiss felt like walking through a house where the gravity had shifted 5 degrees. Everything looked the same. The orange-taped canisters on the counter, Cindy's half-eaten cereal, the Three's Company sign, but the air was electric. Jack found himself staring at the back of Janet's neck while she watered her ferns, feeling a pull so primal it frightened him. They hadn't told Cindy yet. They hadn't even discussed what they were. They were just more. "Jack, the eggs," Janet said, her voice a soft bell. He looked down. The omelette was beginning to smoke. "Right. Sorry, I'm a bit distracted." "Distracted is okay," she said, turning to him. For a split second, the kitchen disappeared, and it was just the two of them in the amber glow of a Santa Monica sunrise. "I'm going to the academy today for the orientation," Jack said, sliding the plate onto the table. "I'll be back late. Don't wait up for me." "I'll always wait up for you, Jack," she replied. The weight of those words followed him all the way to the bus stop. But as the bus pulled away, a black sedan he didn't recognize followed at a distance. Chapter 14. The Return of Larry Dallas. Larry Dallas was many things, but a quiet man was not one of them. He burst into apartment 201 that afternoon while Janet was preparing for a late shift. "Janet, where's the kid? Where's the culinary king?" Larry was wearing a silk shirt, unbuttoned nearly to his navel, and a grin that spelled trouble. "He's at school, Larry." "What's the emergency?" "No emergency, just an opportunity. I've got a client, a big-timer from the valley, who wants a private dinner tonight. Very hush-hush, very high-paying. I thought Jack could use the cash for his commute." Janet hesitated. "He said he'd be late. And besides, he needs to focus on his studies." "This is study, Janet. Real-world pressure. Tell him to meet me at the Beagle at 6. I'll handle the rest." Larry disappeared as quickly as he'd arrived, leaving behind a cloud of cologne and a sense of unease. It was the look he had right before things caught on fire, sometimes literally. Chapter 15. The Matriarch's Arrival. The doorbell rang at 5. Janet, expecting Larry to have forgotten something, swung the door open with a sigh. "Larry, I told you." She froze. Standing in the hallway was a woman in a perfectly tailored tweed suit, clutching a leather handbag and looking at the Three's Company sign with the expression of someone who had just found a beetle in their salad. "Mother?" Janet whispered. Mrs. Martha Wood stepped into the apartment without an invitation, her heels clicking sharply on the linoleum. Curiously vague lately, Janet's heart hammered against her ribs. Her mother was a pillar of the community back home, a woman for whom unconventional living arrangements were synonymous with moral collapse. I wasn't expecting you, Mother. Let me get you some tea. And where are these roommates I've heard so much about?" "Cindy is at the office," Janet said, her mind racing. And the other one is—" Before she could finish, the door burst open. Jack Tripper, exhausted and covered in flour from a long day at the academy, stumbled in. "Janet, you wouldn't believe the day I had. I nearly set the head chef's hat on fire." Jack stopped dead, seeing the formidable woman in the living room. "Oh, hello, Janet," Martha said, her voice dropping an octave. "Who is this man, and why does he have a key to your apartment?" Chapter 16. The Great Deception. "This is Jack," Janet stammered. "Here the maintenance man." "Yes. Our landlord, Mr. Furley, hired him to fix the plumbing." Jack looked at Janet, confused. "Plumbing?" "Janet, I just came from—" Janet grabbed Jack's arm, her fingers digging in. "Jack! The sink. You were going to fix the sink, remember?" before you go back to your apartment downstairs. Jack caught the look of pure terror in Janet's eyes and pivoted. Right. The sink. Leaky as a sieve. I'll just get my tools. From my... Wait, Martha Wood said, her eyes narrowing. You look familiar. Weren't you at that memorial service Larry Dallas mentioned? The one for the poor boy who died of a broken heart? Jack broke into a cold sweat. Me? No. I have one of those faces. Very common. Very maintenance-like.